Hello, everybody. This is Takedown Wrestling. I'm Tony Hager, and we're here with Tony Ramos, talking a little Agon, a little World Cup. How we doing today, Tony?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Tony. I hope I don't confuse myself talking to myself here, but man, I'm excited about Agon. But what I'm really excited about too is you're able to compete for USA on the World Cup team, and that's a week after Agon. Talk to
Yep.
me a little. What's the feeling about being on that team?
I'm excited. I'm honored to be on it. It's something you see as you're growing up, all the top level guys wrestling for the Senior World Cup team. That means you're number one in the United States if you're wrestling on that team. So, I'm doing all the right things and I'm putting myself in position to get better and to wrestle high level competition. So I am ready for the 2015 World Championships in Vegas.
So I mean, about a month ago or so, they announced that yourself, Metcalf, and I believe McDonough, is he going to be traveling with you guys?
Yeah, he'll be traveling with us. I think he's a 61 backup.
Okay,
Um, Pretty sure that's what it is.
good deal. So Hawkeyes will be well represented at the World Cup and at the Iowa against the world. And man, you've haven't even been wrestling a full year, and it's kind of. Do you ever just sit back and just realize kind of what you've already done on the international scene? I mean, you've got medals at the Canada Cup, Paris. Um, you've been all over the place and you're getting medals, but you're looking for the gold medals at every single one of those.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he was just talking about how, last year at this time we were thinking about taking the year off, and you could just be starting right now. Um, it'd be way different probably if I was just starting right now. You never know what could happen. So, I'm definitely glad I jumped into it right away, and I'm doing the things I'm doing now.
Were you down in St. Louis last week?
Yes, I was.
What was it like going back in that atmosphere and seeing and hearing all the fans kind of cheering against Iowa when Iowa was doing bad?
It was hard. It was just hard in general to be there watching. Um, you want to be involved somehow. Everyone asks me if I miss wrestling there. I don't miss wrestling. I just miss being able not to, maybe not coaching or not helping out, just having to sit and watch as a spectator. And, you really can't control anything. Even as a coach, you really can't control anything, but at least you get to talk to the guys. You get to, sit in their corner and maybe feel like you're having some type of effect on them. For me, it was a different perspective. I just had to sit back and watch.
Well, I can assure you that the screams and boos were a lot louder when you were wrestling, and so if you can only imagine, you never got to ever experience that, but as a media member, a fan of wrestling around, it just this title of Iowa against the world, I think, is just so fitting, especially after last week. Did that kind of refuel your fire to compete kind of as a Hawkeye?
I think it got me excited. All season long, everyone's been against Iowa. It's not just fans; it's the media too. There's a lot of media against Iowa, and it's exciting to go out there and put the Hawkeyes back on the map and heading in the right direction.
And let's talk about the NCAA championship. There was a lot of storylines, and you wrestling 133. Obviously, you're cheering for Clark, but what did you feel? How did you feel like Brewer's style is? I mean, did you ever get a chance to wrestle him? I mean, he seems like a real on the attack all the time, and I feel like he's going to have a lot of success at the international level as well.
I've never wrestled him. He's been in a couple of brackets. I've wrestled a lot of guys and beat them that have given Brewer hard times or beat him multiple times. One thing, I knew Brewer inside and out going into the match. I knew he's going to be on the legs nonstop. He's got that single leg. But one thing that, I tried telling Clark is he gets flat-footed a lot. If you ever watch him, he gets blown off his feet. Dardane's double-legged him. Morrison would double-leg him all the time. I don't think Clark did a real good job of trying to penetrate through him and start falling back into old habits of just trying to drop and catch ankles. You want to beat a guy like that, you got to blow through him and you got to penetrate hard.
Two-time All-American Corey Clark. I mean, that's always a tough feat to do. Uh, and I think he'll be back, and that will even just fuel his fire being on that big stage. Not that he's not been on that stage before, but having you as a partner in the room can only help him. That's for sure. And another topic that is a big topic, and we kind of texted back and forth during the tournament, is Ian Miller. As
Yeah.
you kind of gotten back home and it's kind of got swept under the rug a little bit. What are your thoughts now on it? Do you still feel like he completely, got screwed on it and they should have overturned it, or was there anything they should have done?
They definitely should have done something. It's hard to swallow. It's not Real Abudo's fault. It's not Cornell's fault. It's not Ian Miller's fault. It's not Kent State's fault. Everyone wants to say the coaches should have said something. Well, if you watch the video, the coach did go over to the table. He tried saying something. The refs told him to sit down. They really never even gave him an option. They said, sit down, the score's right, and they just went right back to the center. The way that I think about this, and I've talked to a couple of people, is if Real Abudo did beat Derringer in the finals, or not Derringer, Martinez, how do you explain to kids that this is a national champion who really lost a match during the tournament? The NCAA really screwed up on that one. They can try and say whatever they want, the protocol this, the protocol that. There's a thing called moral and ethics, and they did not do justice. They really screwed up. And what really bothered me the most is that ESPN didn't pick this up. This is a huge story, and they could have put the NCAA committee on blast, and they just let it blow by like nothing happened.
Yeah, I just kind of got swept under the rug, and we just kind of moved on to the rounds, and that's what kind of was frustrating to me because I've got some Iowa ties, and I just know that I just would assume that if this had something, if Tony Ramos would have been the benefactor of something like this, it would have been just an absolute picket fence. Fire would have been running through the stands, and people would have been upset about it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of what school it happened to or what. I don't want to pick sides on there, but it's just really unfortunate for all the parties involved and NCAA.
Yeah.
I wish they would come out with another statement, but we're never going to get that. So moving on to Agon, crazy event, man. You've been just pumped up on Agon, and we interviewed you a couple weeks ago about when your bout was announced, and we were a week away from weigh-ins. How is your weight? Is that even an issue for you during this matchup for Cejudo?
Weight's good. It's 133, just like when I was in college. So, I'm kind of treating it the same as making weight every week for college, except it's a little bit different. I can be a little bit higher because it is a day before weigh-in. But the other thing I got to remember is I am wrestling a week later, a little bit lower. But I got to get ready for my match. It's one match at a time, and then I'll worry about the World Cup. Right now, it's, April 3rd, Agon Henry Cejudo. I'm not going to say that I don't know he's training hard because he gets up for these things. But, he did just come off a fight. He needed to take time to recover. He only had a couple weeks probably to really train strictly for wrestling. But I know he's going to be ready to go, and I'm going to be ready to go too.
And you're going to be ready to go because you're going to have you're in the hotbed of Iowa City in Iowa. You were undefeated at Carver, and I know we're not going to be wrestling Carver. It may kind of be like Carver North, you could say. How excited are you about competing in front of those fans again? Because not very often you're going to get that chance in your career going forward.
Yeah, I'm real excited, and like you said, this doesn't happen often, and I hope the fans come out in numbers. There's not a lot of opportunities where fans get to see their past, favorite Hawkeye wrestlers like Metcalf, McDonough, St. John, Ketty, and myself out there competing. So, they need to take this opportunity. It's not going to come around once a year or twice a year. It might come around every 5 years, every 6 years. So, it'd be nice to see them come out in numbers and really be supporting us and behind the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, where are you at, Iowa? I mean, we want to see these numbers. We want to see the suckers sold out. And tickets are cheap. I mean, they're all over the place as far as prices go, as low as $16. But I mean, if you want to get on the floor, yeah, they're going to be $78, $115. But if you go to a UFC, Bellator event, those are like $1,000 tickets. So I mean, to get to see the likes of, I think Phil Ketty, we haven't seen him compete since 2010 for Hawkeye fans. I think that's just a great opportunity. And Derek St. John. that's a guy that was like a fan favorite. So we got to
Yep.
get people in the seats, and if not, we'll have the pay-per-view. But at the end of the day, we want people cheering against our wrestlers that are competing on this high level, and it's good for these pro organizers. They say, man, we can make this amount of money and then pay our wrestlers too. Let's do another one. Agon
Yep.
kind of went away for a little bit. And are you a big believer in that? I mean, we have to put money in the wrestlers' pockets.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in it. I mean, that's how they raise their family. That's how they make a living. And it's not going to succeed unless the fans come out and support it. They want to talk about support in wrestling. Well, come out and show your support. Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk out there. That seems what all it is. We want wrestling on ESPN and we want it on Spike TV, and then they don't come out and support it or donate to separate clubs, Hawkeye Wrestling Club. They want the Hawkeyes to be the best, but at the end of the day, they don't whip out their wallet that helps you guys go to all these different events, because you can practice as much as you want, but I think at this level, competing is where you learn the most. You learn where your weaknesses are. I've never been in that situation. I mean, I used to wrestle, but not nearly on a world team. But can you agree with that? I mean, the competition is where you learn the most.
I totally agree with that. And one of the biggest things that, for an example, I could show you is all the guys who are on the top right now, Rahimi, Kishnavili, all the guys that were taken first, second, third at the World Championships here were the same guys that were in my bracket in 2009 in the Junior World Cup or the World Championships. I ended up fifth. I feel like if I was wrestling these guys, these past 6-7 years on the international scene, I'd be right up there with them. Now I'm kind of playing catch up a little bit, but it's got to happen fast.
And you're competing as much as you possibly can. Money is a driving factor, I'm sure, in being able to compete as much as possible. And these type of events are great to put the money in wrestlers' pockets so they can go do that. And back to the match that everyone's talking about, I think even more than Metcalf Pico, just because of the background story.
Yeah.
What are your strengths in this match against Cejudo?
I think size-wise we're the same. I know one of Cejudo's biggest, strengths when he was back competing is he was way bigger than everyone. He was a big 55 guy. I'm a big 57. We're gonna be about the same. I think I'm stronger, and I know I've been training wrestling, longer now. You can't just take time off and hope to come back, and that it's gonna work out for you. He came back in 2012, ended up losing to Simmons, took some more time off. Now he's trying to come back in 2015. That's what probably some strength there. And another one is I got Terry in my corner. Terry Brands was his coach. He knows everything about Cejudo. And I'm going to have the best game plan or, the best inside knowledge that anyone's ever had, going into competition against him.
I mean, that was 2008 when Brands was... Was it 2008? Yeah, 2008 was when...
2008.
Yeah, Beijing. And so it's been a while since Cejudo's been on the international circuit. And I was just kind of curious, with his MMA background, is there anything to prepare for that? Is that a different style that he's going to show you?
One thing I know I'm going to be ready for is, I've trained a little bit with MMA guys. My brother was kind of trying to get in MMA for a while, and I would go in there and roll around with these guys doing their jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. I don't know if his style is really going to change, but he might have a little bit more tricks, different kinds of techniques that he's, crossing over from MMA to wrestling that I need to be ready and prepared for. And I've felt those situations, so I'm going to be good there. I'll be ready to go. And the other thing is, MMA wrestling is a little bit different than freestyle and folk style wrestling. So, those guys are a little bit more upper body. Guys don't have shirts on. They're sweaty. They got to have better grip, better finishes. So, I'll be ready to go, and I know what to expect.
If you had a choice to wrestle Cejudo, would you pick folk style or freestyle? You're having to wrestle freestyle, but what would you choose?
Freestyle. I want to beat him where he is best.
Exactly.
That's where he won Olympic gold medal. So I'm glad it's freestyle.
And you never had a chance to wrestle him NCAA. So I mean, I think this is you're exactly right. Beat him where he's
Yeah.
good at, and that's it's going to be a show. That's for sure. I talking to Pico yesterday, and he goes, and this is a quote that I remember, and it's going to be a war that will be remembered, and that kind of stuck with me. And what are your thoughts on that matchup, Metcalf versus Pico?
I'm excited for it. It's kind of, to me, I look at it as a little boy wrestling a grown man. Um, I don't think Pico's grabbed a guy like Metcalf before. I've grabbed a guy like Metcalf. I know what he feels like. So, I think it's going to be a little bit wider gap than the fans are expecting.
There's a lot of they have similar styles, heavy hands, both kind of like
Yeah.
a snap, but I think Metcalf, he's got a snap to a high crotch, and Pico and his coaches are going to be prepared for that. So I think it's going to be it will be a war because there's going to be so much scouting. I think that is going to go on, and they're going to play to each other's strengths, and it will be a battle. And
Yeah.
we all get to watch it at Agon in Cedar Rapids next Friday. You can get your tickets at agonwc.com. And one thing I want to point out is you as a wrestler, you get to benefit from the more tickets that are sold. Is that correct?
That's right. We, depending on how many people show up, that's the kind of bonuses we get. So, that's like I said earlier, these fans want to talk about support. Well, come out and show your support. Then, the more fans that come, the more that goes back to the athletes.
Tell the fans where they can find you on social media if they're not already following you. I mean, I don't know why they're not following you, but you've over 14,000 followers, and you're very active. You're engaging with the fans, and that's what I love about you on social media. But tell the fans where they can find you, where they can get all your gear.
Yeah, you can find me at T_RAM133. Like you said, I got 14,000 followers, but I'm trying to grow that. I want to, get up to Burroughs' level where he's got 99 or 100K. So, I got to keep performing, and I got to keep interacting with fans for that to happen. The other thing is www.teamramos.co. That's my website. Blog gets updated every once in a while. Gear. We're actually coming out with a new T-shirt here for the Agon event. I think it's going to be pretty cool. So we're in the process of getting that done.
And fans, you don't know this yet, but we just picked up Ramos's signature headgear as a sponsor of Takedown Wrestling, and we're going to be giving away a headgear on Wednesdays. So you can follow us on Takedown Wrestle on Twitter for that headgear giveaway. Get your own Ramos headgear. And we'll do those giveaways, and we can get you on the radio shows on the weekends. So make sure you stay tuned to that with Dan Moore Warrior. How cool is it to have you? You don't have your own shoe, but I guess the next step would be your own headgear, right?
Yeah. Headgear is pretty cool, and I don't want a shoe yet until I win the Olympics. That's one of the standards. Headgear is something new that's starting to come around, and the one thing I really like about them is they're made in America. They're supporting American athletes, and that's why I think me and Dan are a good fit together.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Tony. On behalf of Takedown Wrestling, I want to wish you the best of luck at Agon and then at the World Cup. We've spoken here with Tony Ramos. We will see you at Agon 5 in Cedar Rapids, April 3rd. Thank you again, Tony.
Thank you.